Hey, here we are. So this is here's our contingent from the San Francisco 99% Coalition. I'm Janet Wheel, one of the founding members, along with Art Persico.
Hello.
And several other people. We could maybe pass the microphone down the line. But we got some breaking news from Susan Harmon, who has to go. So I want her to talk for a minute about DHS helicopters surveying the Bay Area and what she experienced over her home in Oakland.
Evidently, a helicopter flew back and forth over my house in Oakland about 20 times yesterday, and I Googled KTV, and the excuse that they have up there is that all this week in the Bay Area, 69 square miles, I think, is being surveyed for naturally occurring radiation by Department of Homeland Security. I have no idea what naturally occurring radiation is. I have no idea why it's an issue for Homeland Security, and I don't believe a word of the story. So one of the questions that we asked Feinstein's aide was, what is DHS really surveying the Bay Area for? Thanks.
And he had no answer for that. So we met with John Murray, and a staffer, a field representative for Senator Feinstein, to talk to him about our severe opposition to the indefinite detention provisions of FY 2012 National Defense Authorization Act, commonly known as the NDAA. Feinstein has put forth an act to, quote, fix, unquote, these provisions called the Due Process Guarantee Act. So that's a bill in the Senate that's now in committee. And so we want her to change the bill so that it extends protections to non-citizens as well as to U.S. citizens. And we brought up many other issues relating to surveillance, the Patriot Act, and how it should be replaced by something called the Justice Act. Our concerns about the military being used to pick up U.S. citizens on U.S. soil, and lots of other things. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Kevin just to fill in a bit more.
Well, we pointed out that Senator Feinstein has pinpointed we know that she's aware of the problem of people being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The problem with this detention provision is the danger of casting too wide of a net, and we know that she's aware of this. The point is that that's everyone. The Fifth Amendment doesn't make a distinction between citizens and non-citizens. So we just tried to stress to her and her aide, John Murray, that she's already aware that you can have people picked up who shouldn't have been. You can have misuse, and that's everyone. That's immigrants. It's non-citizens. So we think that she's up against what can pass, getting the votes, getting co-sponsors, but it's just very important. We tried to bring this up with her.
I think the main thing that we were trying to get across to her and to John is that there's a lot of people who didn't know about the NDAA, and I think that we let him know that it seems like that there are more and more people who are finding out about it are feeling like we do, and I think that more, you can see it from the 2 meetings that we had and the number of people who attended against the NDAA, and it's something I think that we needed to get across to Dianne Feinstein, that more and more people are going to start getting involved and find out what it's all about, and feel like the same way we do, that it's taken away a lot of our rights, it's taken away habeas corpus, it's taken away the Bill of Rights, and it's things that the Americans should stand up and make sure we maintain our democracy.
This meeting builds on a personal contact we've made with Senator Feinstein, and she's invited us to contact her D.C. office to talk to someone there about this issue. John Murray is as he said, he's the eyes and ears of the senator, and we gave him a lot of information today, asked a lot of questions. A couple things we did, we gave him a book called Hell No by Michael Ratner, which is a self-help guide for activists and a briefing on the deterioration of civil liberties in this country since even before the Patriot Act. Also gave him a copy of a 7-page article from Verdict magazine that presented Senator Feinstein's legislation and an essay, and had some commentary from civil libertarians as to where it falls short. We felt it was a very productive meeting, and we're going to follow up on it. John Murray's got a book report to write on this, so we're just kidding around with him. We also touched on something called IRPA, which a lot of people haven't heard about. I'll let Michael Lyon talk about IRPA and the issues therein.
IRPA is a proposed law which would outlaw racial profiling. And the way that racial profiling has to deal with the National Defense Education Act is that people are outraged by the NDAA's 1021, 1022 provisions, which allow someone to be indefinitely detained just on the basis of suspicion, detained without charges, detained without access to lawyers. There's a move now by Senator Feinstein to try to clean this act up by saying that it wouldn't apply to U.S. citizens. We are very disturbed at this attempt to try to split off U.S. citizens from immigrants, from the many people who have been driven into this country by NAFTA. There's a huge population in the United States who are not citizens, and yet they still deserve the same rights that citizens do, and this is what we want changed about Feinstein's amendment.
Hi, my name is Robin, member of the SF99 Coalition. I said to John Murray, her assistant, that people generally don't know that the NDAA has been passed, and when they find out, they're in shock, and they say, well, you know, didn't our representative swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, which includes the Bill of Rights? I recently found an organization out tabling in the city called CCLP, or Coalition of Concerned Legal Professionals. It's an all-volunteer group of legal and non-legal professionals who are out on the streets now telling the public about the NDAA and legal rights, and I stood by the table, and people were in shock when they heard what had happened. The public has not been told. We asked John how many calls he was getting about the situation. He said not too many, but people were expressing their concerns. So one of the things I've taken away from today is I think we ought to get more groups just going in there to talk with him even before the NDAA comes up for a vote, so that they can continue to hear from citizens all year long that we're concerned. I also want to report that there is a militarization going on now with Homeland Security. It is very severe. It's a joint task force where they have brought in military weapons and surveillance, and I've just remembered the name of an Ohio group. It's called the Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance, which is working on this nationally. Senator Feinstein is in charge of 16 intelligence committees, and I think that she ought to be looking at this, because this is a national issue, which is also happening here, which is also targeted 60 citizens in the Bay Area now. They're being targeted and militarized, and it's just horrific for them. It is going on. We want to shed some light on this and ask her some questions and ask her to look into it. So I just remembered the name of the organization that's checking on it. But he was actually happy to hear our concerns, and he listened very well to us today. So we thank him for that, and for her for getting the notes from us.
So I don't think, my name is Joe Pierce, I don't think anybody's mentioned yet there are 8 of us here from San Francisco 99%. And we had a meeting for an hour from 2 o'clock until 3 o'clock with her Representative John. And we expect to hear back from him, and we encourage other people to come and talk to them also about this issue of the NDAA and the other issues we've mentioned here today.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap up by saying that all of this is covered by this absurd concept of the war on terror. And, of course, there can be no real victory against an emotional state. So we also brought that up at the very end, and we've just got to, stand up, rediscover our courage in this country, and stop going along with preposterous, very expensive, and unconstitutional measures with the excuse that this is somehow making us safe in the, quote, war on terror. And I don't want a war on anything, but if there would be a war on something, it would be a war on bullshit. So thank you, and if you're seeing this video, please Google the NDAA, get involved yourself. Thanks.
I'm going to back up, and then I'm going to... Okay, then I want to climb up the building.